Hello and welcome to Presenting, a podcast where we chat about various topics related to role-playing games, usually Paizo products such as Pathfinder and Starfinder, but also others. I'm John Godek, and with me today is Dana Ebert. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It is a joy to be here.
Well, I'm glad you say that. I never know. Sometimes I wonder if people are like, okay, since you asked, I'll do it. Or say, oh, they're excited. So the fact that you said it's a joy, that's pleasing to me. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I say that, and for the last year or so, this has just been one of the shows that's been on my list of someday I've got to do that one. So I'm
Well,
really
that
excited,
day is
genuinely, to be here.
now.
Yeah,
That is now.
today's the day.
Yeah. So Dana is a Filipino-American trans woman working as a writer and game designer, as well as the creative director at TPK Brewing Company in Portland. This is a tabletop RPG brew pub opening soon. Dana's credits include Firebrands Plus on Pathfinder Infinite, Pathfinder Bounty number 20, an article on Pathfinder Adventure Path number 198, as well as work in the Grand Bazaar, Monsters of Myth, Travel Guide, Firebrands, and High Helm hardcovers for Paizo. And she's also contributed to the upcoming Tianxi hardcovers that are going to be coming out next year. You can reach Dana at Mistress Dana RPG on Twitter and on Instagram. So, Dana, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your journey to becoming an RPG writer and game designer?
Absolutely. It is a little bit luck, a little bit haphazard, but growing up, it was always my dream to first to be like an author, and then once I started getting into tabletop role playing games, to work in the tabletop role playing industry. And I didn't right away. I had over a decade long career in marketing, actually, before I got started here. But I realized at a certain point in my life that this is what I really wanted to do, and I wanted to try it. And yeah, the journey there was a lot of, I would say, networking and just saying yes to things is a huge component of it. But I started out as a professional game master, and yeah, it kind of went from there. From being a game master, I started doing shows, charity games, podcasts, like actual play content, and then also I had a really kind of life changing brief conversation with Logan Bonner, because it came at a time in 2020 when Paizo was looking for more diverse writers for their pool. And we had a chat, and at the time I didn't have any kind of formal portfolio, but I did have, the body of work that I'd done as a professional GM, because I run almost all original content. So I was able to take that and kind of talk my way into getting them to try me out as a freelance writer. And my very first Paizo book was the Grand Bazaar, Lost Omens Grand Bazaar.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote exactly 2 pages in that book, and I'm extremely proud of them. But that was my first one, and the assignments have gotten bigger from there.
Nice. I was just talking with, I think it was Chris Rondeau, who said he was also a professional game master before. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Kind of where you did that, how that came about? Because I GM a lot and I never get paid for it. So I'm a little curious about this space.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I like to joke about is that, I happened into my TTRPG career by winning a raffle. And there's a bit of truth to that, because I found myself at a Portland staple called Dungeon Battle Karaoke, and I actually have
Mm.
one of their posters on my wall, which it's Dungeons and Dragons played with karaoke in front of an audience. And I won a raffle for a sort of a thing that was going on at the time, because in Portland there are a lot of role playing, like brewery pop-ups,
Mhm.
bar pop-ups, where they'll do takeovers. And so back then there was really only one, which was Orcs. It was kind of the original. And so I won tickets to go to this thing, and it's sort of a role playing and dining experience. And Yeah, it was just kind of funny. My wife couldn't go because she was working that night, so I took my dad, who doesn't get out of the house nearly enough, because he's an old role player, and he had a good time. And I said, "Hey, do you want to keep doing this?" He said, "Yeah." So we became regulars, and as I got to know the people there, eventually they were looking for more game masters. They said, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing this?" And it came at a good time to me. So I started doing that, which was a regular, monthly or twice monthly gig, and then doing any kind of experience like that with a lot of game masters where you just get to meet a lot of people. That's a good way to get started, because from there, people like you. Some people don't, but some people really jive with your style, and you might pick up like some side work, or other GMs that you work with might refer you for things. Like, it's a small world. Nobody's really competing at like a local in-person level.
Right.
And some of my advice for GMing specifically is just get to know the other people that are doing it, because they will refer you for things, and you'll refer them for things. um, yeah, and so that's kind of how I got started there. Within a year after that, I was doing a lot of see, that was going into 2020 when it kind of boomed, and
Right.
I found myself doing a lot of online gigs. So I was running like a after school children's role playing program through the local library. I was also just getting more clients and things during that time period.
And were you still doing marketing, or this was a full-time gig at that point?
No, it was very much a part-time gig at that point, and so I really started doing that in 2019. Um, and I did both for 3 years or so. I didn't leave my marketing job until last year.
Mhm, mhm. Now, can you talk a little bit about TPK Brewing and your role as creative director, how you got involved in that and what that all entails?
Yeah, so TPK Brewing Co. is a majority queer, majority women of color owned craft brewery coming to Portland, Oregon very soon. We've been working on it for a couple of years now, like intensely for a couple of years, though it was an idea in someone's head way before then. Um, and it will open sometime this year. It's looking like September, but right now the building is under construction. But so what we're doing is we're marrying craft brewing with tabletop role playing games. So we're going to have full time paid game masters on our staff, and people through our website will be able to book games with them. And it'll be a variety of role playing games, but yeah, our flagship experience is going to be sort of a multi-party um, sort of living setting campaign that we're putting together. Uh, yeah, that's I can talk more about that, but that's our main offering.
Yeah, no, that's why. And you're building a whole new building for this.
Yeah, well, we're renovating an existing building. If
Okay.
anyone is in the Portland area, it's the old Tabor Bread Building, which is a beautiful little beautiful building, and it has a lot of character. And we're just expanding it. We're adding a second level to it. We're adding a mezzanine level, which it didn't previously have, just to make more room for all the gaming and things that are going to be going on. And then, of course, quality of life stuff. We replaced the foundation. We replaced a lot of the plumbing, and
Sounds
we're
like
installing all the
almost
brewing
building it from
equipment.
scratch.
Yeah, that it was a little bit of a surprise, but
Yeah.
it's going well.
Nice, nice. And what do you do as creative director for that?
Okay, as the creative director, I am one of three co-owners. Each of us is a one-third owner, and so one of us is the head brewer. That's Jess Hardy. She's amazing. The CEO is Elliot Kaplan. He kind of looks over the overall business health and the finances. And as the creative director, I run the gaming side of the business, and so I'm in charge of really running all of that.
Nice. Now that's exciting. Actually, once you get it done, I might have to take a crew down there to check it out. So
I would love that,
yeah,
actually. And if you
yeah.
if you let me know when you're coming, we can probably set up something cool for you. And
No, no, for sure. We often go down for Game Storm down there. So,
oh, awesome.
um, yeah, because it's not. I mean, 3.5 hour, 4 hour ride. It's not that bad, to to get down there if you're staying overnight for things. So
Right.
maybe
And
we can do something in conjunction with that.
Right, and that would be so cool. And just like the gaming side is half the business, and in addition to just running these games and having these game masters, we're also we like to say that we're a brewery slash publishing house because we're also going to
Mm.
be publishing our original content. And right now, in fact, I one of the things I've been working on for the last several months is a adventure anthology that's a prequel to our in-house campaign called "The Blooms That Feed on Fire," and yeah, it's all over our crowdfunder if anyone wants to look it up.
Nice. Oh, you wanna give a shout out for your crowdfunding site?
Um, yeah, I mean, if you Google it, you'll find it. But it ended last November.
Mhm.
Successfully funded this book and a few other things. So I've just been working on hiring the writers and artists and getting it all together, and somehow also writing part of it myself, which I've been surprised consistently by the scale of some of this undertaking.
Oh, no, it sounds like a big one. Are you also gonna have a retail store with that?
Um, so we are going to retail a little bit in the space. Most likely, you'll be able to buy physical copies of this book. There's also a miniature that comes with it for as long as they last. And we'll have the normal like shirts and hoodies and all the normal swag that you'd have at a brewery, but we'll also have some gaming stuff. We'll
Yeah.
Yeah, not to get too into it, but we're not going to be a game store, but we will probably in addition to our products also be selling like the books to support the games that you can book us
Yeah.
to run.
No, that's cool. Now we have up here locally, like a mile from my house, is something called Zulu's. Well, Zulu's. It's a no, it's a gaming house. Zulu's gaming house, and it has just grown massively. It was just like kind of in a one building, and now they've had three expansions to it, and they it's a pub, lots of pub food, lots of gaming going on. Magic is the big thing that really
Mm-hmm.
drives
Mm-hmm.
what's going on there. But it's gotten so big that they had to get another external space for big events now associated with it. And so I think this sort of endeavor is awesome, and I wish I had gotten in on this thing here locally when it was nice and small. And I thought, oh, I remember going when they first opened. I thought, this is really cool because I'm a marketing guy too. And I'm thinking,
Oh yeah.
man, this thing's going to explode. And sure enough, it did. And so I think it's awesome. I'm very jealous. I know it's a lot of work, but I think it's going to be something that's going to be cool for you all, especially in that area. That's awesome for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, can you talk a little bit about Team Plus on Pathfinder Infinite? You know, how someone might get involved with it and actually what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start off by saying that they invited me to work on Firebrands Plus, but I'm not a permanent member of that team, nor an owner or anything like that. But that said, is Team Plus is a team that's managed by Tony Saunders and Derry Littrell, both very fantastic people, lovely to work with. And what they do is they started off with sort of the class plus line, which is like cleric plus or barbarian plus, and then they moved on to also add an omens plus line, which includes impossible lands plus and firebrands plus. And so what they do with their supplements, and these are on Pathfinder Infinite, they're third party, but they take kind of these parts of the game that already exist or have just come out and just further round them out. So, for example, Firebrands was an amazing book, but I think we all agree that any of these books could just be 50 pages longer.
Hmm.
And when we sat down and talked about what we could include in Firebrands Plus, uh, one of the things that we realized was that the Firebrand's Lost Omens book really has no content about ships or vehicles. And so we added a whole equipment section that deals specifically with ship upgrades, as well as rules for managing crews, those kinds of things. And then also like some character options like backgrounds. We added even more Firebrand's gods, and just things like that. It just adds to what's already there, and they're pretty prolific, and they have some of the best selling products on Pathfinder Infinite, so they're doing a very good job.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, what advice do you have for people interested in getting involved in freelance writing and game design?
Um, so I guess I have two main pieces of advice that I would say. The first one is just save your work, start building a portfolio, even if it's not like published work. If you're GMing, if you're making original content,
Mm,
keep your notes. That's all stuff that you can point at, even if it's not. Even if it's not the same, it points at your ability to write and your ability to design mechanics. And the second thing that I would say is, especially if you're starting out, try to work with a team, because it is so much work if you try to take it on by yourself and do not just the writing and the game design, but also things like layout, marketing.
mhm.
It's a lot of work. It's much easier to work with a team.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, the layout part, that's one of the things that scares me a lot about the Infinite, trying to get all that figured out there. So,
Yeah, it's daunting. I've learned bits and pieces of a lot of it for a lot of little projects on the Blooms That Feed on Fire. I'm very happy that we have the budget to properly have an editor
mhm.
and other people on our team.
Awesome. So, what's next for Dana? What kind of cool things are you working on now besides TPK Brewing Company that you can actually talk about?
Yeah, right now I'm really focused on TPK. I actually this year have taken a break from some Paizo projects to focus on that, just because it's taking so much of my attention, and I
Mm,
really want to do it right. Um, but yeah, long term, I have a lot of ideas for if that's successful, what I'd like that to mean in Portland, what I'd like that to mean for bringing opportunities to people and really coaching people on how to do these things that we're talking about.
mhm,
Because so many people are reaching out who want to be professional game masters in the space, and so one things that we've started talking about recently is enough people ask that we really are thinking about adding like maybe a monthly networking event or something where we invite people to talk about how to get started and how to do these things. Um, in a very vague sense, that's what's top of mind for me.
mhm.
In another way, it's funny because it actually hasn't been announced yet, but the main actual play podcast that I'm a full time cast member on is the League of Ultimate Questing. It's a show where it takes place in a world where questing is a major league sport,
Hmm.
complete with like in-world sports commentary and fake ads, and characters get like sponsorships and things. It's pretty wild and pretty funny. It's like a comedy
Yeah,
D&D podcast, and it hasn't been announced yet, but season 2 is going to be wrapping up in a while, and we're looking ahead at season 3, and it's going to be super exciting. um,
very cool. And
yeah.
will you eventually record that at the brew pub?
Um, right now, the one of the producers of the show has a very nice studio set up in their house. That's where we record. We will likely, because that's separate from TPK and they already have a very nice setup, we probably won't
Mm,
record that in the space. But I do have some ideas about creating a perhaps a live stream
yeah.
actual play show at TPK. And one of the things I always say that now this is big dreams, but if we ever get so big that we need to expand into another location, um, I my wish list for that location is to create like a really nice studio with a sound stage that's designed for actual play shows, and not just use it ourselves, but also allow people to kind of rent and use that space to produce their own shows.
Oh yeah. No, that's
Um,
cool. I like that.
yeah, because I'd really. in the long term, I'd really like to put Portland on the map as like a TTRPG city, because when you think of those places right now, you pretty much think of Seattle, Los Angeles, New York, and probably probably a couple places in Wisconsin. Um,
Yeah.
and
No, that's
I'd
cool.
really love if
Yeah.
people thought of Portland too. So
Yeah. When you mentioned doing something at the brew pub, reminds me of, GM McLeod.
I do not.
Oh, so GM McLeod is he's down in Hollywood area. He's got his own pub, and he brings in all these guest players that are like stars, movie stars and stuff. And so that's the kind of thing that, to get that kind of cachet, and he's slowly trying to grow it. It's not a huge thing, but he's been working on it for a while, and that's the kind of thing I think that would be really cool if you had your own pub that you bring in local celebrities and things,
Yeah,
and you do something like that, and it kind of grows from there. But I
that's the
like the idea
dream.
of the studio though, because that's, I've done actual plays in my house at somebody else's house where I've had to bring all the equipment and get it all set up. I'm actually building a new office right now that's a little bigger than this one I have. It's across my house here, and I'm building a room for a table to do an actual play in my studio, my home studio. But it's not going to be the kind I can rent out, which I think if
Right.
I had something like that, that would be really awesome. So
Yeah, it would just yeah, I think it'd be really cool. And to your point, yeah, I absolutely hope to someday get some local celebrities in there. Though we don't have a lot, admittedly. I'm already planning to bring in like for our launch party, we're going to be having sort of a live play in the space just as entertainment for people during the launch. And I've already started inviting people from other local like AP podcasts and things.
right.
Um, but certainly certainly they're like myself, not people that you would normally call celebrities. I think the most famous RPG celebrity in the Portland area, or the in Oregon really, is Keith Baker, and well, every now and then I mention him. He has not he's not acknowledged me or any of my tweets, but maybe someday.
Well, I know up here one of the biggest folks we have is Jeff Grubb, um, who's kind of an old school RPG writer and author and stuff. And I don't know. I think if you asked him nice, he would go down to Portland and do that.
That's a cool idea. And actually,
Yeah.
I was hoping someday to lure some of my good friends at Paizo and Wizards to even
Oh,
uh,
those folks would be
make it down
easy.
here.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
tell you, Ron Lundeen has a bunch of family down in Eugene area.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so he's often heading down that way. I used to live in Eugene, so we talk about it all
that
the
makes
time.
sense.
And he's not a big, massive star of any sort, but he's been a writer for Paizo and now Wizards of the Coast for a bunch of years, and
Right.
one of the most
Absolutely.
prolific adventure writers ever. So I think if you asked him nice, he would probably do it too.
Yeah, no, that'd be super cool. Yeah, we've talked about that. It's like, oh, I want to invite all these people, and
Yeah,
Elliot just keeps telling me, not for the launch party. Wait till we have our shit together, then
yeah,
we'll
it's
invite all
all
of them down.
settled. Yeah. All right. Well, Dana, best of luck with that. I'm super excited. I definitely want to come check it out, and I might try to coordinate. Like I said, bringing some friends down. Maybe I'll try to bring Ron as well. He's
Oh,
a
that'd
pretty
be
good
that'd be
friend,
super cool.
and he's always up for a road trip. So,
And yeah, if anyone wants to learn more, our website is tpkbrewing.com. Right now, you can sign up for our newsletter. We have a really good intro video just about what we're doing with a little more detail. And we're actually working on the website like right now. We just had a meeting about it like a couple days ago. So we'll have a real website up hopefully very soon.
all right, Dana, it's been a pleasure getting a chance to talk with you, and thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.